Another day, another Champions League game to preview. Newcastle play Atletico Bilbao at St. James's Park. But what can we learn from the West Ham defeat? Let's find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shea
All right, folks. Good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are in the world. And we are blessed to have international fans from Florida, South Africa, all over the world. And so I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you guys are blessed and you're having a great week so far. I certainly am. And living life to the full, as they say. Tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about all things Newcastle United. Oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to mention, but I'll mention in a minute. Tonight, we're going to talk about all things Newcastle United, and I'm gonna give my we are going to preview the Atletico Bilbao game. We're going to talk about all things Atletico Bilbao, how they play, get the tactics board out and everything. But before that, we have to learn from the past, and we have to learn from our game against West Ham, because there's just too much to talk about from that game. And I won't lie to you guys, I put up too many slides, so the aim is to keep it simple for me anyway. Like to put all, because there's a multiple of issues that happen in that game, but they're all fixable, I believe. And I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your context on all things about that West Ham game. So we're going to review the West Ham game. Then we're going to go into the preview for the Atletico Bilbao game. And as always, folks, I'm going to need you guys to send in your thoughts, send in your comments. Let us know what you're thinking. As always, guys, like, share, and subscribe. We don't need Haaland conversion rate. We need Voltamada conversion rate, because his conversion rate is always 40% and plus. So, guys, let's do it. And yeah, by the way, what I wanted to mention was on Thursday we didn't have a show. I apologize for that. I was ill. I'm not going to apologize for it. I was ill. I was ill. I was ill. I actually had a show ready, but I couldn't do it, and it would have been rough. It would have been rough. But we're back here on this Tuesday, and I'm really looking forward to talking about this show, because especially this West Ham game, where I felt that well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. All right. So the first thing I wanted to do before I went into because I'm going to break that. I guess there's a couple of things I'm going to break it down a bit tactically. We're going to talk about the players and everything else. But I wanted to play Eddie Howe's post-match interview, and because it gives me, I want to get your thoughts on this, and I hope I'm not reading too. I'm not reading. What's the word I'm trying to look for? I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. He's and just to break it down. So let me make sure I show it to you guys. Yeah, it's there. So just to break it down, there's the part that I want to talk about in a moment. I'm gonna get there, but oh gosh, that's the wrong one. Where is it? Let me find it. Sorry, folks, just one moment. Let me find the video first. That's me doing the interview, isn't it? It is. Let me find the video first. But I don't know if anybody's seen this interview yet, but do send in your thoughts from now. But it's a nice segue into the stuff I want to talk about in this in the show tonight when I'm reviewing the West Ham game. Okay, so where is it? Here we go. Where is it? Always, that's it. Always trying to catch that sweet spot. and actually talking about the game. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But just leading up to it, because I want to add a bit of context where it led to. There's a couple of things I want to talk about, which is his tone of voice and like what he's saying in it. I haven't really heard him like this for a while. To me, he sounded like, when I can tell that he's probably given them a good, he's the hair dryer treatment. I feel like the embers of anger are still glowing in him, but there's also a mixture of like sadness and frustration. It might just be me. I know fans are feeling that as well. But he says something that leads me on to the tactics of what I want, kind of when we're talking about the tactics and everything else in this game. And where is it? But just before we get into that bit, he's already talked about that dynamism not being there. Him saying himself that he doesn't necessarily think it's a mentality issue. He himself was really disappointed. He had never seen the players, like he's never seen it, like he's never seen what he's seen in the time he's been there. That was revealing. I thought that was interesting. It did not look like the Newcastle that he knew. He could have taken anyone off at halftime. Obviously, he took off Votamada. Was it Gordon? Votamada, Gordon, and somebody else. Was it Kraft? Kraft, I think. And then he talks about, and this leads me up not nice to it, because he made changes in the midweek. And this is what I'm talking about, where I thought, I'm sure a lot of you guys thought that going into this West Ham game, we've won 3 in a row. Yeah, all at St. James's Park. We beat the last game was against a tough game against Fulham. No, the last game was against Tottenham, league game, 2-0, 8 changes. Before we get to that, actually, but before that, we beat Benfica 3-0, clean sheet, Jose Mourinho and all that. Then Fulham 2-1. We beat them. Last year we lost to them at St. James's Park. This year we beat them and we deserved to win. We edged it, I believe. It's a good game. Then we had a tricky League Cup fixture against Tottenham where we made 8 changes. We made 8 changes, and Eddie Howe talks about it in this game. Not just for the West Ham game, but for the other games going forward. So we were primed and ready for this West Ham game to put our best foot forward and to give a good showing. You can never guarantee results, but we were primed and ready to put our best foot forward and give a good showing. And obviously that didn't happen. And that's what I think leads him to talk about kind of trying to get that perfect, trying to get the team or everything involved into that perfect place where you think you've done all your preparations, you've everything is lined up. Everything was lined up in my view, even injury wise, form wise, everything like that to make a success of this game, to give a good showing, and it just didn't happen. So I'm going to play this clip where he's talking about this, leading up to this, and I want to get you guys' view on his tone as well and what you guys are saying. And I appreciate you guys. I already see. I forgot to say hello to the chat. Let's you know just how much my mind, like all of you guys, are into this West Ham game. And God bless you, Adrian Pickett. Good to see. Aaron Kane. Good to see as always. God bless you guys already in the chat. I'm going to get to you guys in the chat as well. You can tell that from what I'm picking up a little bit from the chat as well. We're all still kind of reeling from that West Ham game, and you can tell my mind's on it as well. So I want to be able to make sure I give it a good cover before we get into that kind of Athletic game. Okay, so I've said all that to say this, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this, on what he says, and his tone of voice, and what he's saying.
You're always trying to catch the sweet spot. From my position, you're hoping the players are ready to perform, and you can never figure it out. You can never think that you've got all the answers. It's such a game that can, twist and turn and change so quickly. So for us, it's changed negatively in a very quick time.
So for me, he's like I said, his tone is like he's had a good shout, and he's also talked like earlier in the preference in the conference. He was saying how he really didn't know what he kind of didn't know what went wrong. there's a frustration and there's a sadness into it. Like, I don't think he's seen this version of the team before. That's why I had a little bit of concern when I was listening to it. But he was then talking about you can never think you've got everything lined up, like you've got everything perfect, that you're going to catch that sweet spot. Football is saying like it's a thing that you can't necessarily get it right. So I feel like he's almost trying to, what's the word, make sense of it himself.
And now we've got to turn it back and flip it back the other way in a very quick time. Yeah, I was very reluctant to put him on. I mean, we had no other senior professionals to put on the bench today. If we did, then he wouldn't have been on there. But
so I think that was the Lewis Hall one. So that was the main thing I wanted to talk about from that clip before going into the game itself. And it's him trying to make sense of what happened. And that's what we're going to do in this show tonight, because I spent a lot of time, I'm sure you guys did, reflecting and talking. I avoided listening too much at all, actually, to any other channel. Not because, excuse me, I'm still got some remnants of the flu. Not because I didn't want to hear what they said or anything like that. I wanted to form my thoughts and my opinions and my ideas first, and I didn't want to. I knew I'd have to water it down if I heard something different, if that made sense. So I'm gonna go into the moment. So let me see what you guys are saying. What's your thoughts on this so far before we break things down? Aaron says, still can't get over the game on Sunday even now. The tactics, decision making, everything was just really poor. Eddie's changes didn't make sense to me. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. The attitude of some of the players was awful. Yeah, do you think it was the attitude? Yeah, so you're saying it's the attitude. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Aaron says that match was one of the worst matches in a long time. True. That was John Carver, Steve Bruce levels bad. Oh, goodness gracious. We failed in duels and the basics were done terribly. It was like we turned up with no preparation. Yeah, echo a lot of what you're saying there, Aaron. Aaron also says, I know we are missing Tino and Hall, which is crucial, but the lack of adaptability to change doesn't make sense to me. Burn at left back doesn't work. Why not go 3-4-3 or just give Alex Murphy a goal? Some solutions there, which I like. Adrian says, Howe is struggling to adapt to not having the week on the training pitch. It's his strongest suit. And with Champions League, he has to rely on game management, which isn't his strongest suit. I see what you're saying, Adrian. And he's not like a seasoned Champions League manager. This is the second season of the Champions League, right? But having said that, he's won 3 on the spin, managing the League Cup, the Premier League, and the Champions League. He's avoided injuries. He scored 7 goals and conceded 1 in all those competitions. And I know they're all at home. But the point being is that he is managing the competitions. And everything was primed and ready for us to be successful in this game. So I'm not like poo-pooing any ideas or anything like that. I'm with you guys. I'm exploring. I'm waiting, trying to get the answers for it. So speaking of answers, and guys, do keep sending in your chats and what you're saying. We're all in this together. Okay, so because I wrote, I'm in danger. I wrote so many slides and stuff like that. I'm gonna try and condense it and make it concise. So guys, I need you guys' help to just say to me like expand on this or say this or that. All right, so what I've done was, to make sense of what I've just done. You're thinking, why is it talking about Fulham and West Ham? So what I've done was, in order to make sense of it in my mind, because I started fiddling around, kind of watching the game. I've watched the game, so I watched the game, made thorough notes on it about our game in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the game, and I put all notes in it. I put it all on the kind of the AI tool to make it neat and structured to make sense. And then I started looking at the previous games. So why is it that we played well against Fulham? I didn't use the Tottenham game because we made 8 changes in the Tottenham game. I didn't think that'd be a fair comparison. But why it's good to compare Fulham and compare West Ham is because one is at home and one is away. So we want to talk about the home and away situation. And for me, I like the Fulham game because not only did we score and we won against a team that we lost before, we did that in a short turnaround against, after playing Benfica, was it? I can't remember. Yeah, against Benfica. And the underlying metrics, the XG, everything else, showed that we deserved to win that game. So, like, overall, for me, in my opinion, it was a good game for Newcastle United. So I wanted to be able to compare a recent home win against a very, very devastating away loss to a team in West Ham. And again, respect to West Ham fans, and I'm sure, like, and I've been in a situation when you're the opposition fans and you're like, you know, often when people analyze a game, the opposition is the silent partner. Like, nobody talks about the opposition. We're going to talk about West Ham, and you deserve to win the game. But I say this with sincerity, and one who is supporting a team who have been relegated twice and fought numerous relegation battles. You're not a good team. You're not a good team, but you deserve to win, but you're not a good team. I know a bad team because all Newcastle fans know we've grinded it out supporting bad teams. We've already heard someone in the chat mention Steve Carver, Steve Bruce, John Carver, and Steve Bruce, all those guys. So that's what I mean. So I'm going to talk about West Ham as well. So I wanted to compare Fulham and I wanted to compare the West Ham game. The other thing I wanted to look at, especially from what you're looking at, there's obviously the metrics and stuff like that speak for themselves, right? Maybe I should have gone to those first to kind of explain a few things. Like the XG was low. We know the XG was low. But I went to them passing maps because we are going to talk about, because it allows us to put together the player positions, how we passed, what we did to get around the pitch. And I put it together with the notes, what I saw visibly with my eyes looking at the game. And I compared both passing maps against from Fulham to West Ham to understand what happened there. And my notes were not with the Fulham game, but with the West Ham game. So I kind of put it all together to try and make sense of it. I hope it makes sense to you guys. I want to compare a good game versus a bad game. And this is what there was other things I looked at, obviously. So I'm going to weave that in, how we were in different phases of play. I'm going to weave in individual players who underperformed. I know we can say the whole team, but some underperform more than others. So we're going to talk about those players as well. Some of them are already playing sick. No, I'm joking. God bless Bruno Gomes. So I kind of broke it down to 3 things. I know it's more than 3 things, but I just broke it down to that. But we've got the context. Newcastle are going into this game favourites, right? West Ham don't win at home. Even Wolves beat them there, right? But it didn't turn out that way. So point of attack. So against Fulham, if you look at our passing map against Fulham, we were balanced and symmetrical. So our play flows relatively evenly from the central hub to the central of the midfield. The key players there were Chow, Tonali, and Bruno, to both the flanks. So obviously Kieran Trippier was playing, and Kieran Trippier is key to this. So it's not just Tino Hall and Tino, but we're waiting to come back. But I do think personnel missing and Kieran Trippier was key to this, and I will talk about that as well. It's not the biggest thing. There's a number of other things, but Kieran Trippier not playing was a big thing for us, because so our play flows relatively evenly from central hub to both the left and right flank. So our attacking stats for both central, left, and right flank were fairly even, which allowed us to distribute the way we attack the game. However, against West Ham, we were heavily lopsided onto that left side of the pitch. Big up, Mr. Fairview. God bless you, sir. We were heavily lopsided to that left-hand side with Byrne, Joelinton, and Gordon, and obviously in the second half that turned into Ramsey, a bit of Barnes, and Byrne, right? So on the left-hand side against West Ham, we were dense. There was a high volume of passing. It was a cluster visible on that left-hand side. Even Bruno Gomes was going down there. That involved Dan Burn, that involved Anthony Gordon, Joelinton, Bruno Gomes, and there's other players that joined into there. So the tactical implication for the West Ham game. So the team, as a result, the team was tactically focused on overloading that left-hand side. And I did note in my notes, like in the first 3 to 5 minutes, maybe even less, there was 3 attacks from Gordon down that left-hand side. One where he was crowded out, one where he made a mad miss, and I can't remember, he did something with the other one. All with him, Byrne, and Joelinton all involved in that play. The team was tactically overloaded on that left-hand side. However, the West Ham match notes suggest that this approach, when they talk about notes, let's talk about my notes. This approach was ineffective against their opponent, leading to the ball being crowded out, which happened a lot, and a lack of and we're struggling to create shooting opportunities and a lack of rotation that was happening. This congested passing is consistent with the Anthony Gordon getting caught on the ball, so we saw that quite a bit of him as well. And Wan-Bissaka had him on toast once again, and he just started running into traffic. So a lot of our play was just heavily built onto that left-hand side. And God bless Kraft, but he's not clearing Trippier. He does his bit, but you can see that he plays maximum 5 full games a season. He can't get the ball out of his feet quick enough. I don't think the other players trust him enough. Obviously, he gets the ball, but they don't trust him in the way they trust Kieran Trippier. And so the play was really, really focused on the left-hand side. So that was part of what there's a couple of things already, more than a couple of things there I've noted in terms of our point of attack that hurt us from a tactical point of view, a personal point of view as well. Central midfield hub. In the Fulham game, we had a central triangle. The key central passes were Bruno, Tonali, and Malik Chow. They formed a tight, high-volume triangle acting as a deep platform from distribution, left, centre, right. So Fulham could never fully tell which side we were going to attack from. So they couldn't set traps. For instance, they had to put out fires. They had to always be reacting to what we're doing. Whereas West Ham knew these guys are going to attack the left-hand side. They don't trust Kraft. They're going to keep on attacking the left-hand side. So they were able to set up that way. Against West Ham, as mentioned, the central links are stretched wider. So going back to those central links. So Bruno was more going to the left-hand side. The ball is often recycled between the back line, so Botman, Chow, and the goalkeeper. So Bruno is missing. Bruno was missing in this game in more than one way. He wasn't pressing. He was getting taken off the ball. His awareness was low. His presence was non-present. Tonali was often trying to say to him, "Come on, come on." Bruno wasn't with it. We were effectively playing with 2-man midfield rather than 3. And he was gravitating towards the left-hand side, or he was gravitating away from the central triangle that made it that was successful in the Fulham game. So the tactical implication for the West Ham game was the central was less cohesive as a pivot point compared to the Fulham game. Botman was. This also caused Botman had a bad game. He made more than a couple of bad passes. There's obviously got the own goal as well, which is unlucky for, but still got the own goal. And he was caught. Both Bruno and Botman were caught out in possession a number of times, indicating the deep midfield links were vulnerable and less effective at progressing the ball. It's because they're more wider, they're more separated, they became more vulnerable, and they couldn't progress the ball, and they were more vulnerable to getting caught in possession, which is what happened essentially. And finally, went a bit too far there. Defensive shape and build up in the Fulham game. Our goalkeeper links mainly to Chow, who then went into the central hub of the triangle of him, Bruno, and Tonali, indicating a central focus for initiating play. For the West Ham game, the goalkeeper linked more with the left centre back, Botman, and or fullback, which was Burn. Let me take down a note here, and I'll go to. Let me just take down this note so I can read the bottom bit. So, what was the tactical implications? The team's defensive build-up in the West Ham game was less composed, evidenced by my notes. Newcastle were passive in defending, very passive. We started actually defending, and I noted it later on, and being out of possession. We reflected West Ham. West Ham are they had that period when they were pressing us in the first half, and they caused those mistakes. But even after they got the first goal back, they started going into their shell. They were passive in defending. We started reflecting them. And UFC passive defending, being positioned high. Burn was positioned high, so he kept on going up. He kept on trying to support Gordon and support Joelinton and others, and doing that. But it left a lot of space in the back, which suggests the team's formation may have been stretched or unbalanced as they attempted to force play down that left-hand side. And West Ham just got used to it and just started attacking from that left-hand side. And the own goal from Botman came from that left-hand side. So before I get into the conclusion of it, guys, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. But as I said, there's a lot of things tactically there to get into in terms of what happened for Newcastle. Aaron says, Gordon, for me, gets an easy ride. He hasn't been the player he was unless it's under the lights. J7 injuries have caught up to him, not the same player anymore. And it's Ramsdale's time to play now. So Aaron's made up his mind there. I noticed, as Aaron, West Ham packed the midfield, and I noticed our midfielders inverted the congestion. We failed to stretch the pitch and shift the West Ham's mid-block. Yep. For me, says Aaron, for me, the changes Howe should have made for that game was Miley, Hall, and Ramsey. Do you think it would have been difficult to do that, Aaron, considering he just won 3 in a row with those players? Without those players, with the players that played against West Ham. And Hall would have been too early to come back, I think. Miley, I can see that. Ramsey, in hindsight, this is me speaking in hindsight, would he have run into the same troubles as Joelinton and everybody else on that left-hand side, which is everything is lopsided because we refused to play down the. We didn't play as much on the down the right-hand side. Barnes should have been swapped for Gordon. I don't know why he was playing right wing with the J7 left wing. Yeah, that's the part that wasn't good. I don't know what Howe was thinking. Bobby, big up Bobby. Yeah, God bless you. Big up Philip in the chat. Hope you're all doing well. Going through it, Bobby. We're going through it. Having a therapy session at the moment, or a tactical therapy session. Bobby says, well, keep those feelings bottled up. Philip will not let you criticize Eddie. Adrian says in his best behavior. Adrian says a lot of fans are quite invested in Howe. Yeah. Fair play is their right, but I've never been convinced. Bobby says, I think the team is being set up well, but it's looking like a personnel problem, particularly in attacking midfield areas, and the left back. The starting midfielders needed an update. There's a lot. I agree with you there, Bobby. I think the personnel problem we talked about earlier, he wasn't here, but I think Kieran Trippier missing was a factor, and Kraft. he just wasn't. He wasn't. He's not Kieran Trippier essentially. Um, it's difficult to. We rotated that midfield three, apart from Tonali, who actually was the best player out of all of them in the Tottenham game. So the thought was, and as I say that, my camera goes off. The thought was they're all fresh and they're all ready to go. They're all ready to play. Um, they're fit. They're ready to go. They're ready to play. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. So it's a difficult one. Aaron says, I meant like the changes mid-games, Philip, not to start. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought these were the changes to give us more control during the game. Yeah. No, I agree, Aaron. All right, so in conclusion, again, contrasting it to the West Ham game, where I compared our XGs, I put in our XGs this time and everything else, and I tried to get a conclusion for it. So in contrast to the West Ham game, 3-1 loss, and plus 0.52 XG. So a lopsided congestion, passing that same predictable and ineffective, resulted in a dramatic drop in chance quality. So we kept on going down the left-hand side. Failed to create. The heavy, static focus on the left flank made Newcastle's attack easy to neutralise. And also, speaking about West Ham, especially noted in the second half, they literally went into a 5-5 across the midfield. Suchek came on for Wilson and was effectively playing in like a false 9. But essentially the midfield was 5-5. And we were never going to break. We weren't able to break it down when they were down to 5-4-1 or 5-4-5-1, however they were looking to play it, let alone the 5-5 across the pitch. So yeah, the heavy static focus on the left, and we weren't rotating, we weren't creating as much space. It was annoying to watch. So the heavy static focus on the left flank made Newcastle's attack easy to neutralise, leading to the team being crowded out and struggling to create shooting opportunities. This structure failure directly explains the extremely low XG. And I think most of those shots actually probably came in the first half, where Joelinton, Murphy, and others, and Gordon actually as well. Defensive instability, the less cohesive central midfield, it was not cohesive at all. And defensive line suffered from key players like Botman and Bruno being quite in possession, which invited the opponent's press and led to the lapses in passive defending. This vulnerability in the build-up contributed to West Ham's victory. In short, the balanced and cohesive passing in the Fulham game translated to a high XG and a win, while the static and lopsided passing in the West Ham game tactically exposed us. So there is blame there. And I mentioned, the person I actually started off with was Eddie Howe. So there is blame there, if you want to call it that, for Eddie Howe in terms of how we set up. Now, I don't think he planned, and these are my notes, I'm not going to go through all of them. I don't think Howe planned for us just to be heavily on the left-hand side. But that's how it's obviously worked itself out. I do, though, how I think does need to take responsibility is we're playing West Ham. They're scared of their own shadow. I know what that feels like. We as Newcastle know what that feels like when we fought relegation. Even when they made it 1-1, they weren't fighting for that, to make it 2-1. They were trying to keep it at 1-1. What I want to say is that I feel like the way Howe's setting us up to be strategic in our press, to be defensively sound, it's on a, how do I say? It's kind of like there's a fine balance to it. It's like on a knife edge, because sometimes being pragmatic or defensively sound and strategic gives the opponent too much initiative. Last time we did that was against Arsenal. And yes, the players get back, they run back, they're all they're all, five across or four across, 5-4-1, look orderly and look structured, but they are deep in their own half. It looks passive. It gives the other opponent the initiative to pick and choose how and where they want to attack. Think about the kind of the psychology of the game. We're going into it. We've won 3 on the bounce. We've beat Benfica. We've beat Fulham. We've beat Tottenham after making 8 changes. Champions League, League Cup, Premier League. We're playing the second bottom team or the bottom team in the Premier League who don't win at home. Why don't we go into that game more aggressive? Why don't we go into that game into a 4-3-3, our traditional 4-3-3? Why don't we have it out with them? Go man for man. Why don't we press and stay pressing for 20, 30 minutes at a time and see how they like it and what happens to them? Why are we playing against West Ham and we're playing counter-attacking football against West Ham? And God bless West Ham. I'm not talking about West Ham as a football club. I'm talking about this version of West Ham. We know that West Ham obviously are a great club, but this version of West Ham is not great. Why are we playing counter-attacking football? Why are we going to deep low blocks against West Ham? Why do we play against West Ham the same way we played against Arsenal? In terms of our possession. That's the part that is really disappointing. What led to that initial first goal, and I had it in my notes, just before that goal, there's a 5-minute situation where we were getting pummeled in corners. Pope kept on punching it out. We kept on kicking it out, giving it to them, losing our jewels, needlessly giving it out. The game was getting away from us in those small moments. And those moments were building up into a snowball that led to that eventual goal. And there's something that Dan Burns said, which is, I agree with, which is, when have we stopped doing the dark arts? The last time, I can't remember the last time on this show. I used to do thumbnails where I'd go on the theme, where I would pick on that theme of dark arts because everyone's calling, Eddie Howe, Diego Simeone, we're the dark arts team, we like to waste time, feign injuries, do. When's the last time anybody else called us that? Whenever I ever come on the show and said we've done some of the dark arts, some skullduggery, the traditional Shaw head injury after 5-10 minutes. Why are we not slowing the game down when it's getting away from us? Even though it's West Ham, but the game was getting away from us. And Dan Burn talked about it in terms of we stopped doing that. Part of the reason why they stopped doing that was he said, we've got better players. So we just started playing ball, which I understand. And he actually gave Arsenal as an example, who are a great team, who are a good team, offensively and defensively. But Arsenal were gonna do the whole skullduggery thing to the tip, to the ultimate. That doesn't stop them from doing their skullduggery. Why have we stopped? The game is getting away from us. Corner after corner against West Ham. We're getting caught in possession against West Ham. Why have we stopped doing that stuff? Why are we going to low blocks at Upton Park? Well, how can we be going into low blocks at Upton Park? Wilson isn't gonna outrun Botman or Chow. What are we worried about? Mateus Fernandez, I rate him. He had a good game, Paqueta and all those guys. But if we're pressing up against them, Joelinton, Tonali, Bruno, they should have no hope. So I feel like that. I do feel that's where Eddie Howe takes the responsibility in terms of. I understand why we're doing the strategic press and being practical and being pragmatic, but I think he's taken it a step too far in this game. And when you set the players out into that mindset, you've almost like what's the word? What is it when they uh, cut off your cojones? I forgot what the word they use. They use it on pets sometimes when they cut off your cojones. You mute. Is it mute them? Not mute. That makes it. Take away the sound. I forgot what the word they use. Like, but you've taken our testosterone. You've taken away our manhood. When it should be the opposite. We should be thinking, it's West Ham. Let's see how much. Let's let loose. Let's let loose. Finish them, pack our bags, and go back home. But we're saying let's make sure we look out for that Wan-Bissaka run from behind from beyond, just in case he runs behind us and behind Wan-Bissaka. So from the manager's point of view, I think he took it a step too far doing this pragmatic, strategic press approach against this, a relegation, a team that's fighting relegation. From the players, though, and that doesn't excuse the players. We talked about it from a tactical point of view. We've mentioned it. We've mentioned it. What led to some of our mistakes, but they're still got personal responsibilities. Botman, some of the passes he made. There was one where he even passed to Wan-Bissaka while he was running off to the side and did a back heel. That was crazy. Bruno, misplaced pass after misplaced pass, getting caught in possession, not pressing. That's why there's no point in playing. Eddie Howe, there's no point in playing Voldemort. I don't think it was Voldemar's fault. There's no point in playing him because no one was really supporting him and playing alongside him. And I know that Burn and Joelinton are gonna get a lot of stick, but I'm not gonna criticize them in the same way. And apologies, folks. I'm gonna go to the chats. I see a lot of people talking. My apologies, guys. But my philosophy when it comes to players. I remember talking about Sean Longstaff in this way, where people are criticizing him for, essentially not being technically this, not, being able to get out of and I always said you can't ask a fish to ride a bike. So long as Sean Longstaff did the things that he did, and he himself said what he was good at, which was running, tackling, and giving the ball to Bruno Gomes. He himself said that in the Amazon documentary. He himself said that. I'll give the ball to Bruno, and I'm okay. So in himself, Sean knows what he's good at. Don't ask Sean to be Bruno Gomes when Bruno Gomes is already there. We all know Dan Burn is not a left back, but he has to play at left back because there's no Lewis Hall. I don't believe Alex Murphy is ready. Everybody's calling for him. I've seen him in pre-season against Atletico Madrid. The moment Botman came off and Murphy came on, they targeted him. And we lost that game. And so it's Burn. Burn knows he has to keep a high press too, or at least to get to the halfway line and beyond sometimes in order to allow Gordon to go inside. Joelinton did this thing too. He tried to go on the outside and the inside. He made his decoy runs as well. Joelinton, again, is not a left winger. He's not a left winger. He's not a fish that can ride a bike. But he's having to play that role or left. From a left eight. He's having to partly, and maybe there's more of a question for why you play Joelinton because you got Ramsey there, right? So there's more of a debate there. That's why I got even my thumbnail. I got Ramsey and Joelinton, right? There's more of a question why you play Joelinton, why don't you play Ramsey to the Joelinton? So I hear that. But both Burn and Joelinton in this game are doing what they can to make, especially Joelinton doing decoy runs for Gordon. Every time he's ignored him. Every time, I know they're decoy runs, but at times, Gordon, you've got to vary your play. You've got to pass the ball so the opponent, so Wan-Bissaka doesn't know what you're doing. And literally within 10, 15, 20 minutes, you already gave up the ghost against Wan-Bissaka. You're not getting past him. You can't run past him. You can't dribble past him. You can't even hold up the ball. Like, he had you on toast. And you ignore the runs of Joelinton. You ignore the runs of Burn. Both fish trying to ride bikes. Fair play. But had you at least passed a couple times with the varied your play and would have at least broken down that play, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You can't just wait for Ramsey to play for you to do stuff like that. Like, just do it. Just use them. So there's blame there for Gordon, who was taken off. I'm sure he had words during halftime as well. But I don't have the same stick for Burn and for Joelinton. Joelinton was doing the running. He was doing the pressing. It didn't look good when they were out front, him and Burn. It didn't look good. But that's what they have to do because there's no hole. There's no, there is Ramsey. So the question about Ramsey, fine. Voldemort was isolated. Again, we all know this. If Voldemort doesn't have runners around him, you're gonna get nada, right? So there's only so much I can put on Voldemort, and there's only so much Eddie Howe put on Voldemort. I think he took him off personally because nobody was prepared to do the running for whatever reason, apart from Tonali. But Tonali is having to put out fires everywhere. Like, Tonali was the only one that really had a good game. Joelinton at least was doing the running. Who else is there? Murphy obviously scored a goal, so he gets away with it. Bruno actually got the assist, but Bruno. They say that he's sick, and I'm going to stick with that official line that Bruno is sick. And apparently there's rumors of COVID in the camp. I like that. Not the COVID in the camp, but if that performance was due because of they're sick, fine. It explains a lot. But if they're not sick, if this whole sick thing is being used to cover up some other things, there's big problems. So, not that I want players to have COVID, that's crazy, but that it's better to be sick than that there's like to explain this performance than it is that it isn't like, I think Aaron mentioned it. It's a Water. Aaron, don't let the opposition don't let the opposition fans see that. It's better that than like I said, it's been some attitude problem, right? Kraft is not Trippier. I've got limited criticism for Kraft. He played his best. He is what he is. Chow is the other one that can hold his head up high. Botman, we know, didn't have a great game. Pope. That was Pope's worst game of the season. Hold on, let me get a drink of water. I'll be back, folks. Let me get a drink of water. Sorry about that. I got thirsty just talking about it. Okay. Even before the Paqueta goal, Pope was punching the ball when he should have caught the ball. I couldn't understand why he was doing stuff like that. He should have saved the Paqueta goal. He could not do anything again for the Botman goal. Again, he was bad for the Suchek goal. And he didn't have a great performance at all. So the players, how, the tactics, it was all not good. West Ham did their part. They pressed. They took advantage of our bad play. We gave them the confidence to start making runs in behind, to start closing us down, especially in that first half. And they took the opportunities, and they won the game. So fair play to West Ham. Right. So main conclusion is we need to change our tactics when we're playing away. We need some of our personnel back. I know people are saying we need Lewis Hall and Tino back, but they're not ready. I think just having Kieran Trippier back is going to help a lot in terms of us going forward, just for now. Obviously, Hall and Tino are the ideal, but I think just having Trippier back will be enough. It's the one other thing is that I think because this game is such an outlier so far this season, we've played like 14 games, 15 games if you include Champions League and League Cups. This game is such an outlier that I think is fixable. I think it's fixable tactically. I think it's fixable personnel-wise. So we do have the players to fix it. My one concern, and some of you guys have talked about it, and I'm going to go to the chat and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to, before we move on to the Club Athletic or Atletico Bilbao, my one concern is that it's not anything beyond, their sickness in the camp. It was just a bad day in the office. My one concern is there an attitude problem? Is Eddie Howe losing the dressing room? I hope that's not the case. I don't think that's the case. I'll be very shocked and surprised if that's the case. Like if that were the case. I'm gonna part that one away. So, but I want to mention it to say that if that was a problem, then it's not as fixable as what I'm suggesting is. If it is just a bad day in the office, players were sick, bad tactics, everyone reflects on it and sees it, it's very, very fixable. This game is such an outlier. It's very, very fixable. Tactically, personnel-wise, and just being fit and healthy. You've got a good attitude already. Let's go. So, and that leads us on to the Athletic game. And before we do that, though, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Plenty of people talking. Let me get my... Oh. Okay. So Aaron says, I think we had something like 2 shots on goal in the second half as well. Yeah, which is very worrying. It is. So there's us. It's worrying that, like I said, we were very static in front of goal. We were not rotating amongst the players ourselves to even create space, to have players be able to run it behind. It became very, very predictable. We're trying to get the flanks each and every time. The other thing is West Ham went into a deep low block. West Ham did. This is the thing about it. We play just like West Ham. But West Ham play like that because they have to play like that. Oh, jeez. West Ham played like that because they have to play like that. I know that. We know that because we've had Newcastle under Steve Bruce, Carver play like that because we couldn't play any other way. We weren't good enough to play any other way. But we chose to play like that. It wasn't that the choice wasn't with us. We chose to play like West Ham. And so West Ham went into the slow block and they did what they could to defend the goal. And that was it. And that was it. Adrian says an early goal after work again. Sorry, excuse me. An early goal can work after an early goal can often work against the team psychologically. And that's the second time that's happened to us, Adrian. Because against Arsenal, we gave them the initiative. We did it against Arsenal. They didn't have the necessary ruthless streak. They didn't. We didn't at all because we went back into this pragmatic, counter-attacking. No, like West Ham were thinking. If you saw Nuno Espirito's face, he thought, we're gonna have one of those days again. We're gonna have one of those days again. After that goal went in, the camera went to Espirito's face. He's like, we're gonna have those days again. We're gonna get battered here. But we just didn't do it. Adrian says, but our ability to keep the ball and pop it about to find space is horribly lacking. Yeah, I think that does come down to personnel. I think that comes down to how we're able to distribute the ball. The fullbacks are a key to that as well. But yeah, there's a lot to take from there. Aaron says, agreed, Adrian. The lack of ability to string two passes together is very worrying considering we have some quality technicians in the team. I expect more. Bobby says, I've never heard Philip have these uncomfortable conversations. I'm glad you're enjoying the show, Bobby. Adrian says, intensity was our identity, but it was unsustainable. We've not found a clear new style. I agree. We're trying to find it, and we're trying to balance four competitions. I get it from Eddie, and this is what Eddie's talking about when he's talking about trying to find that sweet spot in terms of trying to prepare the team, get them in the right headspace. Remember, we came into this game 3 wins on the bounce. League Cup, Champions League, Premier League. 7 goals scored, 1 conceded. And I just think Eddie overthought it. I think West Ham was the game to just go and just run at them. Go into our beloved 4-3-3 and just do a Newcastle on them. But even for 30 minutes of the first half, 20 minutes of the first half, and just see what happens. If they're able to withstand it and resist it, fair play to them. But they weren't. Aaron says Gordon was a predictable one-trick pony that game. Gave the ball away so much and put us under unnecessary pressure. I agree. Water nada. I hope that doesn't catch on, Adrian, honestly. Because it came from me, a Newcastle fan. Adrian, if they had COVID, we'll see West Ham squad get it in a couple of weeks. They'll have to do checks though, won't it, before they get on the pitch. My assumption is they've done checks before that happened. Aaron says West Ham had Souček as a false 9 for 45 minutes. That just tells you how bad we really were. Yeah. Bobby says Newcastle's XG performance doesn't suggest Howe has lost the dressing room. No, I agree. That's like. I guess I'm giving the worst case scenario, right? I'm giving the worst case scenario because and I'm kind of going. You missed it, Bobby, maybe because at the beginning I was playing Eddie Howe's post-match interview here. Oh no, I can't. Can I show it? I was playing Eddie Howe's post-match interview, and I was hearing the tone of his voice and what he was saying, how he's saying he's never seen this Newcastle team in his life since he's been here. And his tone of his voice, like anger, sadness, frustration, it was a bit, I've never heard it like that. And then you hear Bruno is sick, then I guess he is sick now. And I guess maybe I was reading way too much into that. But so I was just given the worst case scenario where is there something more? I agree. Our performances, our underlying metrics show that we are definitely trying. I just think we got it wrong on multiple fronts. Tactically, personnel-wise, and which all had an effect in our attitude. Not the attitude to run, but an attitude in terms of we should have come into the game aggressive and just ready to just, just to rip them apart, essentially. So we need to move forward. All right, so we're about to get into it. We're going to talk about Athletic Bilbao. Got one comment here from Foxy Yarrow. God bless you. At the moment, at the moment, Eddie's lack of experience dealing with Prem Europe is showing yet again. Okay, he's been overthinking with our away games all season. It's only his second ever season with Europe as manager. Yeah, look, there's lots to agree with there, Foxy. And you specified it to away games, and I agree. I was about to disagree in terms of but you didn't specify. I totally agree on the away. We should have been, and especially on the opponent. I agree with you there, Foxy. And I don't know if it's your first time to the channel. It's my first time seeing you, but God bless you. Welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy it. And if you haven't, for everybody actually, if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed, please do so. Okay, so Atletico Bilbao. Now, I've got tactics for Bilbao, how they play, but I wanted to just give a quick over. I didn't get the chance to do my typical, my XG stuff for them and everything else. I just didn't get the time. But I did get to. We'll just have a quick look on there. Yeah, there's a lot of injuries, Aaron. There's a lot of injuries. Bilbao without the Williams brothers, says Aaron. Sunset and one of their fullbacks. Yes, huge miss for them and a gift for us. It is, especially how they play with those brothers. Sunset especially is down the wings, on the flanks, everything that we hate. Huge miss for them and a gift for our Sunset, especially as a player I'd love us to look at. And you know what? I'm going to big up your on this Sunset fella. I'm going to big up, who is it? What's his name? Zedders, Zedders. Subscribe to his channel. I think he does tactics and everything else. He did these tactics on Bilbao 7 months ago. And I appreciate it's going to be different players, the same manager. And the philosophies are the same. And I did look a new one recently when Arsenal played Bilbao. And it's a similar kind of tactics there. But I say that to say this. 7 months ago, Zedders also talked about Sunset in the same way that you have, Aaron. So I'm going to look into that player. Like, he's bigged him up as well. So I'm going to look into him as well. No Williams brothers and no Sunset. That's right, Adrian. Foxy says... Oops, sorry. I keep on taking it off. Foxy says... No excuses at all tomorrow. This is a Bilbao side way out of form and missing key players. And guys, if you know more about Bilbao, if you guys have been keeping up with Bilbao, please do keep on sending your views on Bilbao. Let me make sure I'm sharing this with you. I'm going to have a quick overlook. Like you guys know, I like to do the whole XG thing and everything else. It gives me a good flavor for them. I just didn't get the time. I wish I had, though. I do wish I had, but alas, I didn't get to do it this time. Okay, so we're talking about form. Jeez Louise. By the way, Okay, let me just, before we all get all too gloomy, yeah? Bilbao, as pointed out by Foxy, these are the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Includes La Liga and Champions League games, and I'm sure there's Spanish Cup games. Out of those 10 games, they've lost 2, 4, 6 games. They've lost 6 games, drew 2, and only won 2. One against Mallorca and one against Karabakh. I actually watched that Karabakh game. That was a really good game. Very entertaining. And Club Athletic scored a couple belters in that game as well. And had really good fullbacks as well. Maybe that's the guy that's not playing. But they're not in good form, guys. And this is their league form. I proper missed the XG stuff now because I'll get proper flavor for them. But fine, we are where we are. They're 11th in the Spanish league. I think we're 11th in the Premier League, aren't we? And no, are they 11th? Yeah, they're 11th in the Spanish league. They've played 11 games. They've scored 11 goals. Everything is 11 for these guys. They've conceded 13. They lost their last 2 games, so they're coming off a losing streak as well. Both teams, both Newcastle and Athletic Bilbao are coming here off a loss. You're right. You're right. A few of you guys were saying they're not coming in good. They're not coming in good form at all. Let's get a bit of a. They got a pretty low sofa score at the moment. Oh no, that's for the. Is that for the Champions League? Well, let's see the Champions League. 3 matches, 4 scored, 7 conceded. Not doing well. They are scoring goals. Let's look at. I'm going to look at the Liga because I'm going to get something a bit more comprehensive. They keep pretty good ball possession, 51%. Score about a goal per game, but then they concede quite a bit as well. Goals inside the box, 9 out of 89. Goals from outside the box, 1 out of 47. Accurate passes, 81%, so not bad in possession. Accurate passes in your own half, nearly 90%, so within the half is good. In the opposition half, 70%. Okay, accurate long balls, 54%. So how do they do in the Champions League then? Now I'm curious about the Champions League. Where is it? Not too much here from the Champions League stuff. Sprints. Sometimes I see sprints, sometimes I don't. That's annoying. Passes. So not too dissimilar. Own half, 91%. Opposition half, 70%. Long balls. So they're decent in possession. They concede a lot of goals. 2.3 goals per game. Jeez. Newcastle have a chance here. They win 47% of their duels, 46% ground duels, 49% aerial duels. I expect to dominate them. Yeah, they're in bad form, guys. Ernesto Valverde is a good manager, but these guys are in bad form. And they're missing a lot of players. So let's talk about how they play. Unless you guys, there's a few guys in the chat. Let me make sure I find my. This is what I miss my XG stuff now because I would have got a really good flavor for them. So like I said, big up Zedders for this is his tactical breakdown. I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit about how they play, but let's see what you guys are saying. Okay. Aaron says, thoughts as well on the links to Ederson today. Perfect J7 placement if it happens. I didn't see it. Ederson. Are we linked to Ederson? How strong are the links? Anybody know? How strong are the links to Newcastle and Ederson? Let me just have a quick look. Is it Geordie Boot Toon? Hard tackle. Who is it? Who does the story come from? Let's have a quick butchers. According to the iPaper. Oh, really? Hold on. That means you've got some credibility here. Sorry, folks, I took a bit of a detour. Let me just take a... Oh, I thought you guys were with me on this. Let me take this off. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Let me take a quick detour. It is Ederson, so I like Ederson, so I'm gonna pay it a bit of attention. Okay, so for my man Mark Douglas, I'm not gonna spend too much talking about him, but I do rate him a lot. We don't pack on a punch. West Ham promoted first in 12 months. Okay, lots of fluff here. Won't help anyone on the special top flight here. They have been similarly sides. Gordon, Newcastle Howe, think away, Old Trafford, struggling. Isak. Okay. Here we go. Make sure you guys can see this. In an interesting subplot to a summer spent obsessing over Isak, the iPaper understands there were a few voices suggesting that Newcastle needed to construct a succession plan to the Brazilian international who's had his issues with injuries. Ederson, the box-to-box Atlanta midfielder who is a compatriot of Joelinton's, is one of the names that has been mentioned in recruitment meetings. It is not in Howe's nature to rip things up. He would have retained Callum Wilson over the close season if an agreement could have been reached. But Newcastle need to prove they are evolving and fast. I'm going to ignore that Wilson stuff. That's just going to make me annoyed. If they dispatch Athletic Bilbao on Wednesday, and given they are a different team at St. James Park, you would back them to do just that. They would have one foot in the Champions League, but as with everything, okay, so he's kind of said it in passing. I'm not even sure why he said it. I'll have to focus it on it a little bit later, but that's interesting. It's interesting that I would go into the kind of the breakdown of it, but it's going to take me away. But let me know what you guys think of that. Ederson to Newcastle. All right, so let me read a few chats before we do the tactical breakdown. Foxy says Bilbao, same as us, 5 points off bottom three. All right. Let's keep the bottom three stuff. Bilbo Carabaggins. Adrian's just having fun today. Adrian's just having fun. Aaron says, didn't we lose to Bilbao in pre-season? That's a good one. I think I watched that game. I think I watched that game. I can't remember. It was Madrid. It was Atletico Madrid they played. Yeah, it was Atletico Madrid they played. Let me know, guys. They do like to pass the ball, but if we press and play like I know we can, we should win this game, especially with the players out of them. Yeah, I agree. Aaron says, I want Eddie to make the changes. Ramsdale, Barnes, Ramsey, and Miley to come in if Bruno isn't ready to play. Hopefully, Hall can make a 20-minute cameo in the end. I would love that. Ederson is a player that Steve Nicks has been raving up for years. Yeah, I agree with that. That's true. Athletic Madrid preseason and drew Espanyol, I'm sure. Yeah. We lost to Madrid and we beat Espanyol. I remember that one. Okay. And as I said, big up to Zedders. This is like this is his tactical breakdown for the material stuff. He's talked about, so essentially they love to play Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid. I've got them in mind. I'm going to say Club Athletic now. So I'll stop saying Madrid. Love to play in a 4-4-2 in and out of possession. And it goes to various strengths they have. And they have this double pivot that they like to use. In this case, it's Prados and Jurgizaya. I don't know if they still play for them. This is from 7 months ago. So ignore some of the names that I hear. The main point is in terms of how they play tactically. And if you can imagine this double pivot shifting from side to side. So if they want to go to the left, this is how they react, as you can see it now. Or if they want to go right, the team and the formation works in the same way. So now in this situation, they're going to the left, with Jagizia going into a single pivot and allowing Prados to step up and join into that midfield and push up into the midfield towards the attackers, which allows, in this case, Nico Williams, he can either go on the inside or the outside, depending on the fullbacks. So they kind of essentially single out the fullbacks on those left or right wings, depending on which way they want to go in that kind of attack, in that way that they like to attack. Same way when they are on the ball, they're happy to go into if they're breaking down an opponent, they go into this 3-2-4. Three at the back, 3-3-4, 3-3-4, three in the back, where they've got ball playing centre backs. I don't know what kind of centre backs they're going to have in this game, but they do like to have ball playing centre backs who can essentially run forward to join into the press and to disrupt the opposition into the press, into the midfield or into the final third, disrupt the opposition lines and open up passing lanes either to your front striker like Garazetta here, or to the Williams brothers, who can also join in and play centrally as well. And you can see your man Sanset also being part of that as well. What did I want to say here? That thing is blocking my view. My own name is blocking my view, so I needed to see what I'm saying. Right, Dangerous Williams brothers. So both brothers play on the left and or right wing. Both have really electric pace, good on the ball, good on the dribble, like to go either left or right. The main point is to try and isolate their fullback and take them on for pace, or having a one-on-one where they've got a good ability to drop the shoulder and get past the player if need be. So the main focus of Athletics Madrid is Atletico Madrid. Club Athletic is to get them in these isolated situations. Now we know that those guys are not playing in the game. So I don't know who's going to take over for them. I don't know if they're going to have the same attributes. I hope they don't. I hope they're worse. But that is part of how they play, Club Athletic play. It might actually account for their bad form as well. They also like to cause the overloads. So again, I'm talking like they've got the Williams brothers playing, but whoever plays might also have these same ways. So they don't just go on the outside or on the inside. They also go. They do this kind of Jack Grealish thing, where if they can't get down the flank, they'll dribble the ball across the midfield into the central areas here, whilst having the ball, create these overloads. So you can see Williams is going from left to right here and join the three in an overload here onto the right, and cause lots of commotion. If anybody knows who, I've got the players coming up, but if you guys know anything more about the players that are replacing them, if they have these similar attributes, this is this type of stuff we can look forward to if that were to happen. But the Williams brothers are not available, as we've found out. Also, my thing's in the way here. Also, in all phases, as I've explained, they love to defend in a 4-4-2. So you can see the 4 at the back. This time it's a single pivot with Jose, but it can be a double pivot, depends how they want to play. But it's 4 in the back, 4 across, and so they don't really like to press too high. You know, don't expect too much of them running down the goalkeeper, running down the centre back and everything else like that. You will see some of it, but not to like a Bournemouth, Newcastle second year under Eddie Howe, Liverpool kind of type of situation. But in all phases, whether the team has whether it's in opposition half, the opposition playing out the back, whether it's in the second phase in the middle of the pitch, or in the final phase in their own half where they're having to defend in the low block, they love to defend. They love to defend in a 4-4-2 and stay compact. They don't mind if there's overloads. They don't mind too much if there's overloads on the left or right flank. They stay disciplined to that. So their right or left wingers, the Williams brothers, will come back and help and support their fullbacks if they need to, as well as their midfielders dropping back as well in order to support those. They're also alive and alert to the switch plays from left to right. They're quite used to it and quite familiar to it. So that's why they always prefer to play in that 4-4-2. And should they get the ball, they've got either the Williams brothers, I don't know how fast their forward is, to run into those half spaces as well that you can see in the back there. So I kind of did a whistle-stop tour of Club Athletic, but I'm so mindful that they're missing several players, especially the Williams brothers, who I've talked about a lot. And I don't know too much about the players that are going to play. I watched their game against Karabakh, like I said, a really, really entertaining game. I loved their right back, but it looks like their right back, I think it's Berenguer. Let me get my tactics board. It's a good way to this. It's a good segue to the tactics board. I think it's Berenguer. He seemed really, really good. But from what I'm hearing, let me make sure it's Berenguer. It's either Baranche I watched play or Garazabal. I think it was Baranche. Let me know, guys, if he's good. If he's a good player, if it's the player I'm talking about, it must be. Let me show the tactics board, but let me read the chat first. Let me know what you guys say. I'm saying about the starting lineup. I'm going to get into Newcastle starting up in a minute. I feel that's going to be the big discussion, really. Newcastle starting lineup. Okay, so Adrian says we played Bilbao pre-season 2 or 3 seasons back. Yeah, that was a little while ago, wasn't it? Okay. Foxy says Robert Navarro comes in on one of the wings. Okay, let me see. Did I get that right? Yeah. I've got Navarro on the wings. Comes in one of the wings. He scored in his last La Liga game and his last Champions League game. Grazetta coming in from as well, with his goals coming in the same game as Navarro. Thanks for that, Foxy. Are they fast? Are they dribbly guys? Are they inside forwards? Let me know what you know. It'd be great to know. Aaron says Laporte, I think, comes in for them at centre back. I thought Laporte will come in as well, and he still might. But it's been suggested by, I was using Grok on X to give us the news. and they gave me this other centre back. Maybe I'm wrong. Vivian and Paredes. If you guys know them, they might be the ones that are playing, but those are the ones that are rumored to be playing. Fox says Berenguer or the other guy on the wing, not in form at all, but still a decent talent. Yeah, he's the one I think I saw play against Karabakh. He was really good against Karabakh. Adrian says they're no strangers to a wet and windy night either. Those Basquez. Okay. Queen of Heart, good to see you. God bless you. Hope you're well. Great to see you, Queen of Heart. Oh no, you haven't got Queen of Heart anymore. You got something else going on there. Queen of Heart, you got to come back to Queen of Heart. Even Queen. Okay, so let's get into it. So I wanted to focus on our attack because that's the main thing for us. But let me just, because we know that they're not gonna be overly expressive in their attack, like in terms of their press. Not overly expressive. What's the word I'm looking for? Not overly pressing in their attack. Club Athletic. They're going to be fairly sensible. In terms of what they're doing. So if we got the ball and we're playing out, for instance. So, okay, my starting lineup, by the way. I've gone for Ramsdale in goal. And I don't know if he will play. Eddie Howe likes to give players chances. He might give Pope a chance. But at the same time, I've had those thoughts before when the team has played badly and he has made changes. And part of the reason why I want to play Ramsdale, again, obviously not too bad at the shot stopping either. We saw that against Tottenham. But it's his ball playing ability as well. And if we're struggling to play the ball from out the back, which we weren't too much against West Ham because West Ham don't like to press too much, to be honest. But he gives us, I think he gives us a good option with his ability to play out from the back and to go directly when we need to as well. So if we need to launch the ball, he's really good at kind of launching these really like drilled passes across the pitch to your Murphys and to others and try and get these players in one-on-one situations. That'd be really, really good to have him for that. It kind of makes me think, do we play Elanga instead of Murphy? But if Mr. Fairview's watching this, he'll get really annoyed that I even made that change. But there's a possibility that Elanga plays. So Ramsdale, I've got Trippier back. We've seen him in training as well, so he's back. Chow keeps his place, undoubtedly. I've got Botman keeping his place. He has been mainly playing well, and I don't think he's going to get sat on the bench for that. I don't think he's the reason why we lost, necessarily. I think Burn, controversially, for some, keeps his left-back spot, mainly because there's no one else. And Hall is not fit to play just yet. The alternative is, and I don't think we like it, I don't like it, is Trippier, Murphy plays right back, and Trippier goes to left back. And Burn goes on the bench. I just don't see that happening. I don't see how making that change. That's a bit too dramatic. In my midfield, I have Ramsey and I have Miley and I have Tonali. And I think Bruno stays on the bench or he doesn't play. If he's sick or he's got COVID or anything like that, needs to get over it. Needs healing by the grace of God. Otherwise, I think Miley's been playing well. Miley, Tonali, and Ramsey. I've got Joelinton on the bench. Though again, this is more like what I want to see. I don't know if Eddie Howe goes with this, but Ramsey did play in the Champions League, and so did Miley, and I think he might go back to this. I've kept Gordon because of Ramsey. That's the main reason I've kept Gordon, because of Ramsey. And the hope that Ramsey brings the best out of Gordon, as he did against Benfica. And I've kept Voltemada because of it, because once Ramsey came in and Gordon was clicking, he was playing really well. These three duo were playing really, really well together. And you can see that combination again as well. And Murphy keeps his place. So these are the three duos that played really, really well. Now, some might argue that Barnes deserved to play because Gordon's performance wasn't that great. And I wouldn't argue it too much. Whilst I'm saying it, I think that might be something that happens. The thing is, I'm unfamiliar with Garazabel. Is he slow? Is he fast? What type of fullback it is? I feel like it would depend on what type of full. If there's no issue with Gordon, for instance, if there's no issue with Gordon, like between Eddie Howe and Gordon, like it's all good, and he just said, "I'm going to keep you guys for the Champions League," halfway through a Premier League game, which would be crazy. Then there could be a case for Gordon to play rather than Barnes, but it's difficult for me to know because I don't know much about Garazabel. If you guys know about anyone knows about Garazabel, do let me know. And we've got these two centre backs here in Vivian and these two gentlemen, so they're not going to press too high. Someone said, Aaron says, get Gordon off the pitch. Queen of Hearts says, could Ramsdale be an option? Yeah, I've got him on. I've got Ramsdale on. Mix goal kickers up, rotate maybe. Yeah. I've got him on. I've got Ramsdale on. Good suggestion there, Queen of Heart. Foxy Yaro says, Navarro, not rapid, but very typical Spanish type of wide player. If he starts out wide left, which I imagine he comes inside every time, technically good, but poor end product. Okay. Nice one, Foxy Yaro. Do you know much about their fullbacks? Because it might make up my mind as to who plays either Gordon or Barnes. So are they like Garazabal? Has he got any pace? What are they like? Adrian says, surely the answer to Burn at left back is to play three at the back. So are you thinking like this? Are you thinking... so if I take Burn off, how would you do it? So would you do... It would have to be like a Botman, because it happened against West Ham. It was like this. And who would you add? Would you add another midfielder or forward? Who would we add? Charalanga, Willock, Gomeresh. It'll have to be a Willock, maybe. So it might be something like this. Were you thinking of... So you have a Tonali Miley pivot with Ramsey advanced. Excuse me, advanced 8. With Willock advanced 8. These are the main guys that will be running in behind. That's not bad, actually. Because the main point here would be, obviously, we know that Voltemada wants to drop in like this, and then somebody has to pick up this spot here. In this case, it'll be Willock. Obviously, Murphy will either stay here or go out wide. You'll have that type of situation going here. Gordon, same here, either joining in or staying or going out wide. Got this flexibility here of how they play. It's something that could happen actually. And obviously you got the double pivot, protecting double free. It's not a bad idea, Adrian. Adrian, are you sure you're not Eddie Howe in disguise? Are you sure you're not Eddie Howe in disguise, Adrian? I don't mind this. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? The double pivot, that could be something. We kind of, because Voldemort loves to drop in like here, he'll collect the ball, can have a Murphy. This is why maybe instead of Murphy, he might play Elanga. Ramsey, Gordon. Yeah, you can see him mixing up like that. My only thing might be is if they collect the ball. And so Navarro's a silky player, hasn't got too much pace, but he's there. If they choose to do the overloads like this and push forward, got the pivots to Tonali here, or you have Chow pushing up. There is some flexibility, I suppose. Somebody has to, between Ramsey and Gordon, somebody has to be willing to do the defending here. Voldemort, Murphy going to back 5-3-2. I think it's doable, but I'm just thinking about balance. So what I'm thinking is if we have a three in the back, so Botman is here, Chow is here, Trippier is here. We have Marley and Tonali and Ramsey, Gordon. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Are we in danger though of being... Could we be in danger of being outnumbered in midfield? So if they chose to push up one here, they go in a three in the back. What would happen is Barranquilla goes here. It was mentioned that Navarro likes to go inside or outside, depending on how he wants to go. They'll push up. They kind of already, they outnumber us. So you can have, maybe it's a bit more like this. So you'll have 4. Do you get it? So you can have 2 wingers in Navarro, but they'll have, let me highlight this so you see what I'm saying. Oh no, I can't do it like that. Where's the highlight? Here. So we're kind of vulnerable to being overloaded to in the midfield area. One way of dealing with it possibly is a shift, but it would mean Ramsey going back. I don't know, would Charles step up like this? We're kind of at risk of being overrun in the midfield. If you've got any ideas, Adrian, of what you would do, that'd be my only concern if we go that way. If we do the 3-4-3. Not the 3-4-3, if we did the 3 in the back thing. But let me know what you guys are saying. Aaron says, I don't think we go 3 at the back this game, considering the players they have missing. Yeah. Garasabel, Foxy says, Garasabel is similar more to Aspilicueta. Okay. Obviously not the same level, but similar style. Mostly defensive fullback in possession of the ball. He'll keep it simple. Who would you think Garasabel would hate to play against, Foxy? More? Barnes or Gordon? Who would Garasabel hate to play more against? Because I think that'll be the key thing. Yeah, so that's my only thing. I think it'll be. I can see. I like it, but I think also it's a change that he might make during the game rather than before the game. And he doesn't like to change. Eddie Howe doesn't like to change the back line too much. So let me take off Willock and bring back Burn for now. Just for now. And like I said, it's not great, but I don't think it's the reason why we are losing. Now, they're going to get into that they being Club Athletic are going to be compact in this 4-4-2. I'm sort of glad it's going to be a 4-4-2 because it does give us space on the flanks. Now, I know they've got an answer for the flanks, but do they have the physicality for when the crosses start coming in, when the cutbacks start coming in? Would they have the capacity to be able to deal with that and to deal with the height of a Voldemort or a Burn or a Botman coming into their box? I think that's that will be the key question for them. So it would look something like, so maybe even, it depends how we want to do actually, because it might be Miley screening, Chow, Botman, maybe Burn like this. But say we focus on the left side. Let's just focus on say we attack on the right side, excuse me. So they're going to keep it as 4-4-2 and stay very, very compact. Banks of 4, really, with the 2 at the front protecting. It doesn't sound like they got too much pace in their team, which is the one worry I had. But what it allows us to do is to start creating overloads. Murphy, Tonali, Trippier, Chow will be joining in. We know he likes to win the ball early here like he did last time. So last time against, where's the ball? Last time against Benfica, when they tried to clear the ball, Chow picked it up. In that game was Bruno, but Bruno might not be playing. So it's Tonali this time. He picks up, Chow gets off to Tonali, and Murphy started making this inside run, which allowed Voltemada. No, it wasn't Voltemada. It was Gordon. It'd be Gordon or Ramsey. In this case, running in behind like this. So Voltemada likes to drop in. Ramsey and Gordon going in like that. Playing into the box. Getting left to Tonali. In this half space. Into Murphy. Into Ramsey. How good at that's the concern. If I was Club Athletic, that's something that could happen, and the same thing that could happen. This could happen also on the left hand side of the midfield. Apologies for my voice, guys. I'm still getting over this flu. So in this case, it'd be Botman. So Chow. So they might shift over like this. So you might have a Botman. Miley screen in the back 4. Trippier staying here. Maybe Ramsey. Now you'll have the centre forwards trying to screen the best they can. But you'd have Miley going in here. Ramsey dropping in. Burn on the outside. Or no, Burn on the outside. Maybe Gordon either dropping in or staying out wide, depending on how you want to do it. And either on the side like this, trying to get the crosses in, with Voltemada, Tonali, these type of overloads being trying to caused, or the better kind of a little bit more, how do I say it, more likely to score opportunities, the cutbacks. Burnson on the outside, trying to cause these 3 versus 2 overloads. Gordon or Ramsey in this case. This time is Gordon dropping into these inside areas, dropping in, getting into the box, forcing the Benfica defenders to go back into their box. Navarro following Voltemada, Paredes following Miley, Vivian is either on Gordon or trying to stay on Gordon. These type of situations. And this is where the cutbacks start to happen, either to Voldemort or to Miley. I think that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest concern. So I don't mind if they play the 4-4-2. That'd be really, really good. And it doesn't sound like their their forwards are quick. I hope that's not. I don't get that wrong, because obviously my worry is always when we're kind of causing overloads and running behind. The risk and reward is there's space at the back. But with Chow or Trippier, or Chow and Botman, or Chow and, depending on who stays there, it's usually Tonali maybe, and it's Miley who's advancing instead, with Voltamada, Gordon, and Ramsey, Murphy, and others. Even if there is a break, maybe Trippier stays out wide just in case, or stays somewhere around here. Even if the ball does break and they've got an opportunity to get off on us, they're going to have some. It's going to be quite difficult for them to get past Chow, Tonali, and Botman, whoever's there, typically as well. So there's opportunities there for Newcastle to score. I think our key players for sure will be Trippier, in terms of his ability to distribute our attack. Ramsey, Gordon is going to be key to kind of hopefully unlocking Gordon. We'll see if he plays. And Voltamada as well, his ability to drop in the mid blocks, because they like to keep compact. He's going to allow our runners to run in behind, whether it's Miley and Tonali, or Miley and Bruno, or Miley and whoever else is playing. He's going to be very, very key in playing. So, score predictions, guys. Let me know what you think of all of this, guys, and send in your score predictions. I'm going to read the chat and I'm going to give my score predictions at the end. Okay. So Foxy Yaro says Barnes as an impact sub would be nightmare for Garusabel, in my opinion. Thanks Vox Foxy for responding. In my opinion, saying that Gordon doesn't really deserve to start. It's true. We're in a rock and a hard place, aren't we? We're in a rock and a hard whether to start him or not. But I see what you're saying. It'll be interesting to see who starts. Aaron says Gordon, after his Prem form, deserves to ride the bench. I don't care how effective he has been in the Champions League. If he can't put in a performance, he should sit on the bench and earn his place. Yes, I agree. He wasn't great. This might be just... yes. I just think that I think Howe's going to think of the bigger picture. And I think he starts Gordon. And the bigger picture is that we didn't have Trippier. And I know you're thinking, I think Trippier is going to be key to this. It's going to be tricky to us playing a certain way and us playing at home. But let's see. You're right, though. I don't really disagree with you, Aaron. Adrian says, hopefully Bilbao have watched the West Ham game and decided to come out. Yeah, please. That'll be really, really good for them to do that. Adrian says, I'm going to the game. Yeah. Big up yourself, Adrian. God bless you. That'll be amazing. I'm going to the game, so I've got to go for a 3-0. I like it a lot. Aaron says 2-0. We'll perform tomorrow. I'm just more worried about the league form, to be honest. Didn't we say this last time when we were playing Fulham, and we said that we were more worried about Fulham than we were about Benfica? Look, now we're more worried about Brentford than we are about Club Athletic. Times have changed for Newcastle United. Adrian says, I've got a bad feeling it could be a stinker. I almost don't mind. I think we just need to win because that puts us that will put us like another win, one win away, maybe one win in the draw away from qualifying to the next round. So as long as we win, I don't mind. Foxy Yara says, we should win tomorrow. I don't see enough firepower with Bilbao. 2-0, but then we get bullied by Igor Thiago away. everybody's got, including myself, to be honest, everybody's got one eye on this Brentford game. Everybody's got one eye on this Brentford game. Like, everybody's got one eye on this Brentford game, honestly. Okay, so let me give my predictions. And I wish I had my XG map. Bilbao are not in good form. And nobody wants to go to St. James Park, even when they are in good form. I'm going to go for... Do you know... I'm taking a little while to say this, but Tottenham, they won 4-5-0 today. Van der Ven ran from his side of the pitch with the ball all the way to the other side of the pitch and scored. They were that vexed about their performance against Chelsea that they tore Copenhagen a new one. I'm going to believe that this team are angry enough, embarrassed and ashamed and angry enough going into this game where they're saying, I think they're going to put in the performance they should have put in against West Ham in this game. Queen of Hearts says 2-0. A lot of 2-0s and 3-0s. I think I'm going to go for 4-0 plus for Newcastle. I'll say it was 4-0 plus, but I'm going to go for 4-0. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle score more. I think Gordon will score. I think Voldemar will probably get a goal. Murphy, as is customary, would get a goal as well. I'd love to see Ramsey get one, but I'm not sure. But I think Gordon, Voldemar, Murphy, maybe Miley, I can see those guys getting a goal. Maybe one of our centre back from a set piece. Maybe someone comes on. Maybe Barnes comes on and gets a goal as well. So for me, 4-0 Newcastle. So guys, we'll conclude the show. We did a match review of the West Ham game. It was tactical, but also therapeutic. For me anyway. I hope it was therapeutic for you. There's blame to go around for me. Eddie Howe is setting us up to be overly practical, overly pragmatic, counter-attacking. And I think it's part of the reason we lost our bites, our ruthlessness against West Ham, and we should have been vicious, and we weren't. But then there's also how we played. We're overly lopsided to the left. Our midfield did not have a great game at all. Bruno being key for that. And so a lot of personal, individual bad performances. Botman as well. Uncharacteristic, but he didn't have a great game. So we reviewed that game. We talked about Club Athletic, their tactical breakdown, the overall season. They're in bad form as well. And they're not scoring a lot. They're conceding a lot. And they're coming away to St. James's Park. And I've backed us, and a few of you have backed them for a win. A few of you backed them also for us for a win, 2-3-0s. But I've gone for a 4-0 victory and possibly more. So, As always, folks, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for all your likes, your shares, your subscribes, your comments, your engagements, and sticking with me when I'm battling this flu. But as always, folks, make sure you look after yourselves. And as always, folks, God bless.